guys at Choking Hazard, my name is Zach, and today we're reviewing Who Killed Sarah, which is a new Netflix movie that came out sometime this week. Who Killed Sarah is a revenge story about a kid named Alex who gets framed for his sister's murder. He ends up getting released from jail early, 18 years later, for good behavior. Now that Alex is out of jail, he is hell-bent on finding his sister's killer and getting revenge. When I first saw the description of this show, I was instantly hooked because I love revenge stories. One of my favorite pieces of content is actually a revenge plot, and it's called Berserk. It's just one gigantically long revenge story. And I eat this shit for breakfast. I love it. And it kind of depressed me because I really didn't like this show, like, at all. This show is the worst type of bad, in my opinion. It is just really boring. And boring is never good. It's the worst type of bad, because you can't even make fun of it. Let me try to start with the pros real quick. Basically, the acting is okay, and the cinematography is okay. Okay? And that's about it. Like, that's all I can really say, like, positively about this show. I really didn't like it. So, let me try to explain. The show is about a murder mystery that happened 18 years in the past. Now, the thing is that because it's 18 years in the past, they have to use an astronomical amount of flashbacks to kind of achieve and explain what happened in the past, which is kind of the majority of the movie's, like, plot. You know what I mean? It's like, who killed Sarah? Sarah died 18 years beforehand. We have to keep going back that direction to explain anything. Which is, like, it slows the pace of the show down, like a lot. Now, I'm not a guy who's, like, 100% against flashbacks. I'm okay with flashbacks. I've seen flashbacks used in the right ways for movies, TV shows, and animes. Animes use flashbacks all the fucking time. They're okay. The thing is, flashbacks are meant to be used to explain something that is simple in a visual way, okay? That you need to know visually. It's not just something that you can just kind of explain through dialogue, right? Problem is, in this show, it is a complex murder mystery. So whenever there's a new, what would you call it? A new piece of evidence, they have to go ahead and be like, oh, that evidence, the reason why the evidence is relevant, boom, they go back to the past for every piece of evidence. So there's so many flashbacks, it slows the pace of the show. And every time they find some sort of new piece of evidence or new piece of dialogue, or there's a new person that you need to look into, they're like, oh, by the way, let's go back to the past to explain this and show you who that person was. And it's like, oh my god, it slows the pace of the show to, like, a crawl. It's so bad. Every single piece of information that ends up going back or explaining who killed Sarah, they have to go back to the past every fucking time. And it's just like, oh my god, dude. It's so bad. It's so annoying. Personally, for me, if the show has to keep going back into the past and explaining things through visuals and flashbacks, then they don't have good enough writing to just explain and use dialogue in an organic way to explain what's happening. They have to visually take you all the way back and explain it to you, and it's annoying, and it also, personally for me, feels like I'm not as connected with the characters in the present because they have to keep going back in the past. So, I don't know. It's painful. It's very painful. So the show kind of devolves into, like, a really slow, tedious murder mystery, and that's not fun. Another huge problem with the show is that it is a murder mystery alongside a revenge plot, okay? And it feels, in this show, in Who Killed Sarah, those two plot lines don't want to coexist with each other. It's just really hard to get invested in a revenge story when you have no face for the killer or motive or pretty much anything. You have no face to project your malice onto. You know what I mean? It sucks, because then you're like, I don't know who to hate. I don't know who, like, did this thing. I don't know their motive. I don't know anything. I have no clue. So it's hard to, like, hate somebody and be annoyed at somebody and be like, hey, you get them, when you don't know them at all by any means. So it just kind of, it's like, it's not a very good revenge plot, if that makes any sense. A good example of keeping a revenge story mysterious is actually Kill Bill. You don't really know what Bill looks like until the second movie, and you don't really understand his motive for trying to kill Kiddo, the main character, and her unborn child. But what we do know is that Bill, his name is Bill, he has a vendetta for whatever reason against Kiddo, and he has a past with Kiddo. So there's some sort of personal, like, gripe, with each other. You don't really know. You have to kind of figure it out as you go through the story. But there is, like, little crumbs of intrigue and understanding that is kind of weaved within the mystery. In this particular story, there isn't really any of that. It's kind of like, you're just kind of like, it's just throwing shit up in the air. You're just going, oh, well, by the way, you don't know if this is a personal thing. You don't know if the person actually knew the person that tried to kill his sister. You don't know really anything about it. There's no breadcrumbs or anything. It's just kind of up in the air. You're just kind of walking in the dark. You're swimming in the ocean at midnight. It's like you can't see shit. It's kind of weird. Here's another gripe with the movie, and it's kind of more just a gripe. It's a personal thing. It just makes the movie feel very unrealistic, in my opinion. And it's the fact that Alex goes to jail for 18 years. Like, so he's a teenager, gets blamed for murder, then he gets thrown into jail for 18 years. When he gets out of jail, he's like a professional hacker, okay? He knows how to hack computers, and that's kind of how he fucks with the family or the people that kind of might have done something to him, and that's how he also figures out little pieces of evidence, is by hacking things and things like that. The thing is, though, is that he was a teenager when he got sent to prison for 18 years, and supposedly he's now a professional hacker. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, right? He was a fucking fantastic computer whiz when he was a teenager. The thing is, though, is that, like, computers and apps and things like that, they develop over time very quickly. And, everything changes up in, like, the tech world. So, you're telling me that this kid who might have been a computer whiz, have no clue, they don't ever explain that, and he's a hacker, a professional hacker now, with new equipment he hasn't used, and the technology has advanced 18 years? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't believe that. It's unbelievable. Makes no sense. That's my opinion on that. Maybe there's some, like, sort of, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And if they just went about it as, like, oh, well, I'm going to go kill them with, like, a gun and just kind of do, like, the normal tracking research where the guy just kind of, like, walks around and figures out stuff, that would make more sense. But he just is like a professional hacker once he gets out of prison. It just, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Another really interesting thing about the show is that you never get to, like, marinate on something, if that makes any sense. Like, sometimes you need, like, a little bit of a slowdown on a show just to kind of marinate and get the feeling of what's happening with the characters, like emotional investment, how it hurt the person, the relationship between Alex and Sarah. Like, you have to get, like, some sort of timing and, like, just kind of marinate and kind of get the feeling of, like, who these people are. Or, like, their emotional impact for certain situations. You never get any of that in this show. For example, Sarah and Alex. Sarah dies in the first, like, 2 minutes of the show. They go from that, 5 minutes later, they show him in jail, and then another 5 minutes later, so 10 minutes later, he's out of jail trying to seek revenge in the present, okay? So in that time, they don't explain the relationship between Alex and Sarah at all, and you don't even know Sarah. Like, Sarah's not even, like, a person in the show. She dies in, like, the first 2 minutes, and they're just, like, care about her, right? And it's hard for me to care when I don't know the relationship between Alex and Sarah, like, how it hurt him so much, who Sarah is. I don't know if she was a good person or not. I have no clue. I barely have a face with her. Like, she's in the show for a little bit, gone. I don't know anything about her. I almost forgot what she looked like near the end, unless they did the flashbacks, And then the other thing is, too, is that you don't know how he actually felt in jail, right? He was in jail for, like, it felt like 5 minutes, and then they were like, oh, by the way, he's out. They never marinate and be like, oh, why? How bad was jail for him? Was he, like, beaten up? Was he was something happening to him that was so bad? I know he was 18 years in jail, and that sucks, but, like, you have to, like, explain to me why he's so angry and trying to seek revenge. They don't ever really give me, like, a motive, other than the fact that, like, he gets sent to jail for 18 years bad, and his sister died, okay? That sounds like good motives, but I don't like, it's all surface level shit, you know? It's like that surface level stuff, I understand that, but how bad was it for him? I want to feel that. I don't feel any of that. So it's just, I don't know, they just needed to marinate and kind of slow down on some of these things, but they just kind of like, they just shotgunning you into the next scene, and it doesn't feel like you never get to like feel an emotional impact in anything, and it kind of sucks. I mean, John Wick, for God's sake, there was some sort of emotional impact in the beginning, explaining about his wife and the dog and things like that. And John Wick is an action movie, okay? It's not. It's a revenge action movie, okay? This is a murder mystery revenge plot. It's supposed to be a little slower than John Wick, and they don't even give it time to marinate on anything. So it's just, I don't know. They needed to slow down. The writing wasn't very good. The acting was okay. Cinematography was okay. The music kind of sucked. It had very old kind of like corny music, if that makes any sense. And the storyline, the pacing, it was all off. They never let you marinate on any emotional thing. I didn't give a shit about any of the characters. It's just, it wasn't a very good show. It wasn't a very good show. After like the 4th or 5th episode, I was tired, and I was, you know, when you start playing with your phone and shit like that when you're bored, and that was most of the show for me. It was hard. It was hard for me to watch the whole thing. And, yeah, and I like revenge shit. So, I'm going to give this show a D-. I would give it an F, but it's not completely bad. You know, sometimes there's some sort of intriguing element. I can't spoil anything that comes into play a little bit. The acting can be pretty good. The cinematography can be pretty good. But other than that, if that shit was like just a little notch lower, it'd be an F, 100%. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment below if you've watched this show. I'm sure if you have Netflix, you might have watched it because it's one of the more popular things right now. Tell me what you thought about it. I absolutely hated this show. Maybe I'm crazy and it's popular right now. I have no clue. Maybe I get a bunch of hate for this because it's the best show ever. I don't know. Leave your comment below. Please like if you like this content. And you guys, see ya. Hey, you made it to the end. That means you must enjoy my content, so go ahead and love tap that subscribe button for me. And if you don't like my content, subscribe anyways. My videos are proven to make your schlong longer. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram for discussions and movie topics. And subscribe to my new channel called Wait Gaming, where I play games, and each time I die, I have to do a workout. Gets pretty intense. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see ya.